Right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Lit in English or Understanding Your Inner Self, Materialize Happiness. And once again, thanks for being here. Thanks for joining us on this journey. Our mission is spreading these amazing knowledge in English so that everyone in every corner of the world have the tool and the principle needed in order to get closer to their holistic life, utilizing the seven holistic wealth. And once again, thanks for joining us. All right. Hi, Vanessa. Thanks for going on this journey with us. I know it is like 2 a.m. in Germany, but you are still here. Thank you. All right, let's get right to it. So before we go to today's topic, I would like to talk about the one of the main point of yesterday presentation. And yesterday we didn't have a lot of time to go over to the detail of how to activate the human brain, but just quickly go over what we did yesterday. So that yesterday we went to the second principle, which is called activation of the human brain. And in that presentation, we present that there are three different types of brain in a theory that can greatly influence the way we think, the way we behave. And those are reptilian brain, which operating on fear, the mammalian brain operating on love, and the human brain that can enable us foresight, which is the future vision. And when we go in a little bit deeper in how these brain work, we realize that the reptilian brain operating on fear, even though it might sound kind of negative nowadays. However, the reptilian brain is what keeps us alive. It is very good with survival. And throughout evolution, we quickly learn that it is easier to work with one another to help each other to survive. And through that, we was able to activate the reptilian brain. And the reptilian brain evolved to a mammalian brain by working together, by living and helping one another. And the mammalian brain developing love, the love for our family members, the love for our friends, our neighbor, our community. And through that love, emotion develop. And as we learn how to use our emotion, we quickly learn that there are two categories of emotion. One would be the positive emotion, and one is negative emotion like fear. And when information go to the reptilian, when the emotion come to us, it enter the reptilian brain first. It need to figure out if that information is good for its survival. If it is not good for survival, it will quickly stop right then and there. Let me go ahead and draw a stop sign here. So if the information come in is not good for survival, it will stop where the reptilian brain is. However, if the information is good for survival, then the information will move to the mammalian brain. And once the information go to the mammalian brain, it will ask the question, is this information bring out positive emotion or will it bring out negative emotion? If the information is negative, as in it's bring out negative emotion like sadness, like depressed, for example, or fear, then the mammalian brain will kick back that information to the reptilian brain so that it will learn how to survive because negative emotion is that bad to us. Okay. So when the information show negative emotion, it's kicked back to the operation of fear, operation of survival. It will try to survive because negative emotion is bad for us. However, on the other hand, if the information enforcing positivity, or another word is generate positive emotion like love, like joy, then those positive emotion activate the mammalian brain. It will give us a sense of something very, very special, like love, like hope, like joy. And those positive emotion will then evolve the mammalian brain into a human brain. And it will give us something very special, which is foresight, for vision of the future. And this vision is very, very powerful. And in order to demonstrate how powerful it is, let's think about the reptilian brain. And yesterday, Jasmine asked a very, very important question. Is the human brain greater than the reptilian brain, or do we use different brain for different event, for different thing? And that is a very, very good question because we have to utilize different part of the brain to do different tasks. And we know that the reptilian brain is very good for survival, even though it's operating on fear, so that we know when we need it to survive, we're going to activate in fact, the reptilian brain activate on itself. It will find the strength, it will find the energy to survive. And people find experience like in a car accident, they would know how to survive. Or let's say in the US here, sometime like we have like shooting, so people have to know how to hide, avoid danger. Or just yesterday, I watched a video on the tsunami back in 2011 in Japan, and when the earthquake happened, people survival instinct kicked in, and they know to hide under their desk. They know how to go to higher ground because they are aware that a tsunami is coming. So that is survival instinct. They drop everything else. They don't worry about money, food, or anything else, their car, whatever. They knew that they just need to get to higher ground, and doing that, they was able to survive. So they was able to get energy from that fear, from the survival instinct. So during time like that, it is okay to fear. It is okay to kick in that survival instinct. Another example for love, the love for your family member, the love for your loved one, the positive emotion is what give us great strength. And yesterday I give plenty of example of the mother or the father who was able to save their children from a, a potential danger like a car crash and things like that, or a fire. Usually we don't have that strength, but during the moment of love, the moment of care, we find the strength to going through the pain and the suffering so that our loved one can be safe. And I've seen it everywhere, including in my own life. I work very hard so that my family can have a better life, so that we can ensure our survival as well. And that is where the power is at. We can enforcing our emotion to work in our favor. Or when I study professional athlete, they use emotion to give them that drive, to give them that power to, I'm going to show the world that I can be a very good basketball player, or I'm gonna use the emotional support that I have to prove to the world that I am one of the best soccer player or whatever sport that you play. So people actually use this emotion to energize them, to to give them the energy needed to do whatever performance, whatever task that they needed to do. The human brain can do something as powerful as well because the human brain focusing on foresight, focusing on the vision, especially the good vision. And recently, I have learned a very touching story in my happiness study from my professor, Professor Tao Ben Shahar. He shared a very personal story of his grandmother, and they are they are Jews, Israeli, and during World War II, his grandmother were captured and were put in a camp. And you know how, like in World War II, and I know Vanessa here is from Germany, but the German kind of like put out a camp and they kind of like did some really bad thing, like where they murder people and stuff. So my professor, Dr. Taban Shahar, grandmother was one of the prison, and she was captured with her entire family. And unfortunately, all of her family was murdered, were killed, except for her and her sister. What kept her alive through all of those suffering, through all of the pain, through all of the negative emotion, through those survival instincts was a very positive future. She kept telling herself that she need to survive because because of the next generation. She had the image that she is going to get married. She's going to have beautiful children. She is going to have beautiful grandchildren. And she hold on to that hope. She hold on to that vision. And that vision is what kept her alive. That's what kept her through all of that pain when she was in that camp. And even after war, even after the war, her vision of the children future and the grandchildren future was what kept her alive. And thanks to that, my my dear professor had an opportunity to live. And because he is alive and going through a lot of amazing training and studying, he's now able to teach me and many other people the great knowledge that he had acquired over the years. And this is the power of the human brain that we need to tap on, we need to activate because we are human, all right? And I know it's kind of obvious, but let me assure you that many of us are not aware of this information. And often we live our life in the survival mode. We live our life in fear. And many times we let the negative emotion get the best of us. And knowing this knowledge, we now have a choice. We can choose to live for the future. We can choose to engage in positive emotion, and we can choose to be happy rather than sad. We can choose to live in love rather than fear. Therefore, activating the human brain is something very important. There is something extraordinary about it. And yesterday, toward the very end, I quickly provide a formula of how to activate the human brain. And this is not just the human brain that we are talking about. You can use this very same formula going back in time to figure out the development of the reptilian brain and the mammalian brain. So the formula is very simple. We are looking for new lesson, and that new lesson give us a great understanding and is help us solve some sort of problem, if whether it's big or small, and we apply it. We apply our understanding from this lesson, and we become enlightened, or the word is enlightenment. We find our answer to our problem. And each day, if we constantly practicing it, we will be able to activate our brain, namely the human brain. We will open to a whole new world, right? And this very same method, this very same principle is what helped the reptilian evolve to the mammalian, if we can think about this quickly. So what is the new lesson for the reptilian? What is the deep understanding? What is the enlightenment? So the reptilian is very good at survival. The lesson for the reptilian is that they can survive better if they work together. And if you look in nature, you can see that there are many group of animal that was able to make it here with us. They tend to work together in a community, like a pack of wolf or a pack of dolphin. Even ants are working together. Or if you look at the bee, the beehive, you can see like a community of bee working together in order to survive, to ensure their survival. So the lesson for the reptilian brain is that they need to work together to increase their survival capability. They have a great understanding of it, and they apply that lesson, and they learn to live together. They become enlightened. That enlightenment is the answer to how to survive better. And because of that, it's activated the mammalian brain. They was able to evolve. They was able to become better. And what is the new lesson for the mammalian brain? The mammalian brain learn about emotion. It learns how to love. It learns how to operate on positive emotion. Its lesson and its deep understanding is that emotion is what keeping it survive. It can survive better on emotion, whether it is negative emotion like fear or positive emotion like love. And the mammalian brain is very good at applying emotion, and that is their enlightenment. That is the answer to their problem. And by doing that through thousands and thousands of years, by activating that part of the brain, the mammalian or the mammal was able to evolve to human, to who we are today. And that is what we have. So using the same formula that have been either consciously or unconsciously applied over time for millions of years, we are now holding the key to the activation of the human brain, of our brain. And if we can constantly learn new lesson, having deep understanding, we will have our enlightenment right over here. And my suspicion is that we will be able to activate a higher level of brain. And I think this is the difference between regular like ourselves comparing to elite like Elon Musk, like Jeff Bezos, like Elon, like Mark Zuckerberg, and any visionary leader out there. And the word that I would like you to remember is the word visionary leader. And those terms are very common nowadays. In the past, they only mentioned leader, who is your leader, what are the characteristic of leader, because even the animal world, there's an alpha male, right? There's a leader of the pack, and people tend to focus more on the leader, but that is only the tip of the iceberg. What we want to be is a visionary leader. We need to focus on the future vision. We need to be focusing on our foresight. And that is how we activate the human brain to open up a whole new world. And that, my friend, will take us to today's topic. And today's topic is going to be the circle of knowledge. So, on this note, I would like to invite you to grab a pen and paper so we can explore this topic. And this topic is building right on top of the previous principle, which is activation of the human brain. All right. So let's grab a pen. Where's my red one? All right. So this is going to be the third principle. We have a total of four big principles that we need to understand. And the fourth one and the third one, it is called the circle of knowledge. All right. So building on top of activation of the human brain, we as human value something very, very important to us. We hold it very dear to our heart, and that is the knowledge that we have accumulated over time. And thanks to this knowledge, we are able to have our dominance over the earth itself, and human literally conquer the face of the earth, and we became the most powerful force when it comes to the animal kingdom, the animal world, and all of that thanks to our knowledge, thanks to our wisdom. And it is something extremely powerful. It is extraordinary, and we need to understand what knowledge is. And the principle, the third principle, the circle of knowledge, will help us understand that. It will help us to understand the result of the activation of the human brain. What are knowledge? Where is it coming from? Is my knowledge different from yours? How big our knowledge are? And let's get started. I would like to invite you to draw a circle. And this circle right here, this is the representation of the knowledge that you know, that you know. So what do I mean by we know that we know? For example, everybody here, you are joining me in this Zoom call because we can speak English, we understand what English is, and we can communicate with each other in English rather than Vietnamese. Therefore, the understanding of English is the knowledge that we know, and there are many of that. But I would like to invite you to draw a larger circle right on top of the know circle. And this is the representation of the knowledge that we know, but we forget. So an example for this would be, let's say, the class called calculus that I have learned back in college. I did very good in that class. I have almost a perfect score. I got an A plus from that class. But if you were to to give me like uh, a calculus like problem, I wouldn't know how to solve it. I would need to go back to relearn it to figure out the formula in order to solve this. And it's actually happened back in 2010, I believe, when my roommate John, he's a really good friend. He's one of my best friend. He needed that. He needed to pass that class in order to graduate, but he didn't know anything about it. So he came to me knowing that I am pretty good at math, and he asked me to help. And I told him that I will help him because he is a good friend to me. And as a good friend to him, I'm going to help him get through this. But to tell you the truth, at that moment, I was a little bit afraid because I didn't know what any of the formulas are. But after I spent 3 days like Googling and relearning calculus, I was able to pass like the test showing that I was fully understand the course. And that is the power of the circle of the knowledge that you know but you forget, because once you know something, even though you forget about it, it is very easy to relearn it, to bring in that knowledge to your known, or the knowledge that you know that you know. Okay. And there's a greater circle of knowledge. So I would like to invite you to draw a larger circle. And this is the circle that represent the knowledge that we know that we don't know. So what are the things that we know that we don't know? For example, I don't know how to fly an airplane. I go to the airport, I can buy like an airplane ticket, I can get on there, but I cannot fly the the airplane. So that is something that I know that I don't know. And the thing that we don't know is very big. There's a lot of things that we don't know. For example, I don't know how to do my own tax. I have to get my CPA to do it. I uh, I don't know how to skydive. I never done that before. That is definitely one of my fear. So there are tons of things that I do not know, but that is okay. The beautiful thing about knowing that you don't know about something is that you can learn from it. You can find a way to do it. And this is exactly what we are doing right here in this journey. We are learning from one another. We are getting information. We can have a clearer understanding of our inner self. And through that, we will be able to turn what we don't know into what we know. All right. And many of us might think that this is it. This is the circle of knowledge. I get it. But that is not it. There's another circle. And this is a representation of the knowledge that you don't know. That you don't know. Okay. What do I mean by don't know? Don't know. I know I didn't write the word note here, but you know what I mean. This is the representation of the knowledge that you don't know, you don't know. All right. Can anyone think of an example of the knowledge we don't know, we don't know? I used to think that I don't know anything about the universe, the cosmos. But if I'm saying that, then I already know that I don't know about it. The information that we don't know is something that is beyond our comprehension. It is not even conscious to us. And I guess a good example for this is the circle of knowledge itself. This principle, I wasn't aware of it prior to learning about my inner self. And thanks to the guru teachers that have shared with me this knowledge, and by them showing it to me, what I didn't know in the past, when I did not know that I didn't know, it's now become my know. And this is very powerful as well, because throughout this course, there will be information that you might not know when I mention it. And that is okay, because given it enough time, we will be able to turn what you don't know to what you know that you don't know. Like this knowledge, for example, you might not be aware of it prior to this, but thanks to us spending time here talking about this, what you don't know become what you know that you don't know, because at this very moment you are becoming aware of the principle called the circle of knowledge. And you, once you know that you don't know, I can help you move this knowledge to something that you will know in the near future. And if you notice this, there's something a little bit off here, right? Because we move from the circle don't know to know that we don't know, but we skip over the know that we forget. Like if we use critical thinking, we should this the know that we don't know should move to the know that we forget, right? And then from the know that we forget, it will get to the know that we know. And if you are asking that question, congratulations, because you are one of the mind of thinker. You have the mind of a philosopher, because I have learned this in my philosophy class. In my philosophy class, there is a very famous philosopher named Plato. He is like the greatest of all. He's the Greek philosopher, and he said that everything that we have learned, they are not new. Everything that we have learned, we are simply remembering it. It is something that we have forgotten, and now we relearning it. You see, when I heard of that quote, I thought this guy is crazy. I thought that this guy is out of his mind. Like, why would people regard him as one of the great philosopher? But the more that I have learned, the more that I read, I see the similarity. I see the connection between the knowledge, and it might be the case. Okay, and don't take my word for this. You have to experience this. This might have been the case that everything that we know up until now, we have already know in the past. We just need to kind of relearning it. For example, why is it possible that when a baby was born, that baby would know how to cry? And have you ever seen a video where the baby just swimming? You see, the baby was just born, but it's already know how to swim. But as an adult, when we get older, we don't know how to swim. We forgot about it. Or why is it that we as human are afraid of height? Is it dangerous to go to a 3-story high building or even a 10-story high building? It is dangerous because you can fall over and you can die, right? Or why is it that we're afraid of snake? Because snakes are poisonous. Why is it that certain food give out like some really bad smell, and the second that we smell it, we just don't like it? What about your intuition? Have you ever gotten into a very dangerous situation and your gut feeling tell you that, you know what, I need to get out of here? And that very moment it save you. And it's happened all around us. It's happening all around the world. But that is not the focus of today. I just want you to kind of like have an idea of that. And because we are studying the circle of knowledge, there is the connection between the knowledge, the information that you have forgotten with something that you have known. And all of this information are all interconnected. And because the knowledge that we are aware of are so vast, understanding this, knowing this, we realize that we are all equal. We realize that even though I am presenting this, but there are things that you know that I don't know. There are things that you are good at and I'm not. And this is the reason that I still need to see a doctor when I have my health problem. I still need to go to my professor when I needed to learn anything new. I still need to go to a restaurant to get my favorite Vietnamese food or my favorite Chinese food or Japanese food. I still have to go to other people in order to acquire what I need. So in a way, we are all interconnected. There are things that we know. There are something that we are very good at, and others are not. And knowing this, understanding this, we learn to love ourselves. We learn that we are very unique. We are very special. And what we don't know, is very much the same as what of any other human being. And we are all equal. And that's not all to it. The circle of knowledge will show us how we can communicate ideas with others. And that is very much building on top of the previous principle, activation of the human brain. And the ways for doing this is what? Learning new lesson, applying to have a deep understanding, and find answer to your enlightenment. And that very similar formula can be used when we want to have an effective communication with other. So I would like you to draw a separate circle, and let's choose to use my blue one. All right. So for example, let's draw this circle here. And this is the representation of a second person. Let's say it is you that I am talking to. The pink one, that is me. So similarly, we are all equal. Therefore, you have the circle of knowledge that you know that you know. And then you also have your circle of knowledge that you know that you forget. And also, let's draw part one. And that is the representation of the knowledge that you know that you don't know. And finally, this is the representation of the knowledge that you don't know. You don't know. And as you can see, my circle of knowledge is very similar to yours. And by the way, if you have any question during the presentation, feel free to type it on the chat. I will be able to see it. Or if you want to raise your hand to share that very lesson, we will be able to discuss that as well. Because now that we have learned, it is important to learn new lesson so that we can have a deep understanding of it, so that we can become enlightened. And your question might help many other people, not just yourself. It might even help me. All right. So back to the circle of knowledge. All of our gurus and teachers have taught us that when we communicate with other people, the only thing that we can use is the knowledge that we know we know. For example, I know about the circle of knowledge, therefore I have to use what I know to express myself. Because if I were to use, I cannot use information that I do not know, to put it simply. But once I know for sure what I know, I can tell you about it with confidence. The problem of this is when when I use what I know to communicate with others, like yourself, for example, if you have been into this presentation in the past, you will be familiar with the information. But then because you are already aware of it, it's might it's you might get bored because you already hear this before, right? However, for some of you, this might be the information that you have heard before, but you have forgotten about it. So by me talking about the circle of knowledge, you will be able to remember what you have forgotten. But there could be time where I talk about this knowledge, and let's say you are new to this, you have never heard of this before, but now that we talk about this, you know that you don't know. And you might be interested in learning from this. And the toughest one, if I were to talk about this topic, but you really don't know anything about this, then you will be confused. And I might try very, very hard to keep talking about the things that I know you might not get it. And this is the dilemma. This is the problem that our educational system have because the professor, the doctor, they know so well about the topic and they don't realize that their student might not know anything about it. Therefore, the more that they are talking about it, the more the student get confused because the information they are providing is hitting the circle of knowledge of the student where they don't know that they don't know. They don't know anything about it. And this is one of the reason why when you go to see like a bad doctor or really bad like dentist, when they try to explain the the different words that they use to describe a disease or whatever condition that you have, I don't know about you, but that is when I'm zoned out because I don't know what it is, and I have to ask them, oh, like, is this bad for me, or how do I fix it? And then I would know what to do to fix it. And understanding this, the circle of knowledge show us something very, very special, and it tell us that you know what, in order to communicate with other people effectively, instead of just keep going on and on about what you know, we need to start with what they know, and they might not like it at first, but we have to start from there. We have to develop it, and we can go from what they know, and we can show them something that they might not be familiar with, so that they can learn from that unfamiliar. And an example that I would like to you is that I don't know how to fly, but I always wanted to becoming a pilot. I think it is beautiful to be able to just fly anywhere, right? Where we don't have to be stuck in traffic. And right now I live in Portland, Oregon, but instead of driving to California to visit my friends, which take like almost 15, 20 hours of drive, I could just get on an airplane if I was to have a private jet and I could just fly there in 2 to 3 hours. And not only that, it is a different feeling when you get up there, when you get up high, when you can see like the horizon, you can see like the earth itself. It is absolutely amazing. And the knowledge that we know we don't know, the beautiful thing about it is that we can learn it. Therefore, we can we can go from what our friend know that they know. We can activate it. We can get to the information where they forget, and we bring it back to what they know. right? Well, so it's kind of like an echo. When we say something in a big room, the echo will bounce back, and we will be able to hear it. So similarly, when we communicate with people, we start with what they know, and then we echo it out to the information that they may have forgotten, and that echoing bouncing back, and they might be able to hear it, they might be able to understand and starting to remember. Similarly, we can go from what they know and get to the circle of knowledge where they might have uh, where they we help them realize that those are the information that they know they don't know. And with expertise, with careful description and explanation, we will be able to help them to learn it. And this is extremely important because learning things that we don't know, operating in the exact same way. And these two are very, very important. These two are extraordinary because this is the world that we are living in. And again, thank you so much for joining us on this journey, because this is in itself a description of expanding your knowledge. We start from the circle of knowledge of know, and we expand it out to know we don't know, and the information that we don't know and don't know. And nowadays, there is a very, very powerful tool called Google. If you go on Google, you can type on anything. You type on whatever you want to know, and it will give you the answer. And if you use YouTube as much as I do, they have a very interesting algorithm. After you watch enough video on YouTube, for example, the algorithm will know like what you like, and then they started to recommend you video that you don't even search for, and they are very good at this. And in that way, they kind of like hook people to use their application. But at the same time, using those apps, you learn how to expand your knowledge because it will let you know the information that you needed to know. And then it will recommend you the information that you don't know. And YouTube is one of the greatest tools that can help you expand your knowledge. And the younger generation, I know there's some elder here, but something simple like YouTube, it is super, super amazing because the younger generation, they are able to build successful business on top of this because just like the circle of knowledge, it generates so much value. People can learn so much on top of it. They can expand their knowledge. And through that, it's literally changing the way that we see the world. And I would like to invite you to draw another piece of paper to see the importance of the circle of knowledge and how we can learn from one another. And through this, we can figure out the exact way that we can expand our knowledge, the exact way that we can help other people expand our knowledge. And we will be able to generate a lot of value, and the world will reward you for it. Just like the YouTuber helping other people enjoy themselves or learning something new, they get reward in monetary value. They can make an income on top of it. But what I am saying is something greater, because one thing that I learned is that when you give value, you will get value, and together we can both gain much more from practicing this circle of knowledge. And I know we have about 10 minutes left. So if you have any question or if you want to share anything, this might be a good time to raise your hand ahead of time so that I can call on you after I finish in drawing this circle of knowledge. All right. So in this new piece of paper, I would like to invite you to draw a bigger circle. So instead of an eclipse, I want you to draw a circle. And this is the circle that represents for the knowledge that you know, that you know. But instead of writing no, it's just kind of silly. This is just a simplified version so everyone can understand it. But I want to give us a name, an easier name for us to call it. And I would like to call this the known. And this is the representation of the knowledge that we have known. And let's draw a bigger circle. And this is the representation of the knowledge that larger than what we have known. And this is the knowledge that we know, but we forget. And let's call this the forgotten. Forgotten with 2T. And then let's draw another circle larger than this one. And this is the representation of the knowledge that you know, you don't know. And instead of saying no, don't know, let's call it the unknown. And finally, the very last circle representing our knowledge. This is the representation of the knowledge that you don't know, you don't know. You absolutely have no idea about it. And let's call this unconsciousness because you are unconscious of it. Unconsciousness. All right. So this is a representation of the circle of knowledge. And the beautiful thing about it is we can expand our knowledge by talking to other, by learning from other. Like what my friend did, he asked me for help with his calculus class. And I was able to help him. I was able to expand his knowledge from something that he did not know, and we transform it to something that he known. And I didn't know anything about flying airplane before. I have absolutely no knowledge of it, especially during the time when I was living in Vietnam. When I saw when I first saw an airplane fly like way above the sky, I didn't even know what it was. I have absolutely no consciousness of what that thing is until my father told me that, you know what, Ben, that is an airplane. It can fly. And not only that, it can fly up very, very high. And I didn't know what it was until I first got to fly when I was 16 years old. And then is when I really know exactly what it is. And somewhere deep inside, I have a desire to become a pilot. And that is an example of something that we don't know. And through the right mentor, from the right information, we can transform it to something that we have known. That is the beauty, and that is how we can expand our knowledge. That is how we can make something that is unconscious to us to becoming the know. And we are doing it by starting from something that we are unfamiliar with. Let's say we're starting from something that we know. We are going to the circle where we know that we forget the forgotten, and then we gain information from it, and then we can go out to the unknown. And then we even expand it to the unconsciousness level. And doing that, we will be able to learn. So the know is the representation of the knowledge that we have acquired. And let me coloring this. And this is very, very powerful, you guys. So this is what we know. Called the know. And how do we expand this? The only way that we can expand this, let me tell you a secret, is either we experience it and then we're making guesses. And throughout years and years of experience, we might learn a little bit. A more effective way of learning is we can learn it from others, like how my friends were able to learn calculus from me, or how I was able to learn philosophy from my professor, or what we are doing right now, we are learning more about our inner self. So it is easier and more effective to learn from other people, to learn from their known. And by sharing information, we will be able to expand our knowledge with this person. We're able to make what they will help us to remember the knowledge that we have forgotten. Better yet, they will help us learn things that we don't know. They even mention the knowledge, the information that we might have forgotten. And let's say we can talk to another person. And similarly, that person, starting from what we know, and help us expand our knowledge to the area where we have forgotten. And then that person can help us expand our knowledge to our unknown. And if we are lucky, we can even reach out to our unconsciousness. And this can help us expand our knowledge. And if you realize in this, I'm kind of like purposefully drawing this like a butterfly, because there is something very beautiful about butterfly that I do like a lot. It is about the transformation. Remember the story of the cocoon or a caterpillar, where it's crawling its entire life, but through transformation, the butter, the cocoon or the caterpillar was able to make that transformation into a beautiful butterfly. And instead of crawling around, it can now fly and it can see the entire world. It can experience things that it has never experienced before. And this is the journey that we are going on, you guys. We have to expand our knowledge, and the principle of the circle of knowledge allowing us to do so. And just like a butterfly, we need to have our transformation, because the world is full of wonder. And in order to appreciate, in order to see those beauty, those wonders, we need to expand our knowledge. And one of my mentor told me once, he told me that, Ben, if you pay attention, if you look at your city, you will notice that in downtown of your city, there is a museum where they offer entry for free. You don't have to pay anything. But when you go in there, they have these beautiful painting, all of these artwork, and they are absolutely amazing. And they offer it for absolutely free. And you know what? In any big city, in any big development, when people have the understanding where they expand their knowledge, they learn to appreciate it. And it is important to offer art to help them elevate their knowledge so that they can see beauty in the world, so that they can have the vision, as I mentioned earlier. That's how they're activating the human brain. And as you can see, through each of the development, there's some beautiful thing created. We have learned to master survival. We have learned to master our duplication. We have mastered our fear. We learn what love is. And we are materialized that future vision. And doing that, we are constantly expanding our knowledge. And we want to do it proactively rather than reactively, right? If you wasn't here a couple of days ago, let me remind you about that real quick. Just like the principle of light, which is the very first one, we are talking about the third principle, circle of knowledge. But in the principle of light, when we light up our dark room, we're becoming proactive rather than reactive. By expanding our knowledge, we can be prepared for any difficulty, any challenges. We will know what to do, just like the Father and His Son. And we will be able to break through the 6 barriers. And what is the 6th barrier and why is it important? It is kind of like a chicken egg, right? If the 4 is coming from the outside in, just like how life might treating us, it will treating us like food. But if we can expand our knowledge, if we can creating force from the inside out, then we get to choose life, because life, they constantly impacting on us, getting us to change. And usually if we don't change, then we have to experience suffering or pain or losses. And rather having to deal with that, we can be proactive. We can love ourselves enough to get ready to simplify all problem in life into 4 categories. That is inner self, health, relationship, finance. We expand our knowledge so that we can have that transformation, so that we no longer have to crawl on the ground like a caterpillar did. We have that transformation to a beautiful butterfly so that we can experience the world to its fullest, so that we can get to that holistic life using the 7 holistic wealth. And that is what this is all about. And that is the end of my presentation, guys. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I know we don't have a lot of time, but we will consistently doing this. And thanks to you, thanks to your presence, we all will have greater understanding of this knowledge. So when the right time comes, we will know what to say, we will know what to do, and we will be able to help everyone around us gain the information needed so that they can take control of their own life, so that they can materialize that holistic life, holistic living through the 7 holistic wealth, through wisdom, virtue, presence, nobility, capability, material, physique, so they can stand above problem when we simplify it into 4 categories. That is inner self, health, relationship, and finance. And like usual, let's go out with a song.